morning. If I could dig this out of my pocket and get going.
This is a contract organization. It operates by consensus. No one, this is a matter of leadership, not dictatorship. So Mr. Ruggiero has a responsibility, which we're fully satisfied he can carry out, to provide the kind of leadership that will lead us to consensus on these important issues.
What is your view on China's accession?
I mean, if you want to have a man who is really objective regarding European policies, you have to choose an European, because you are sure that at that moment he is obliged to be objective. Just a comment on the question which was asked to you.
What do you say to critics, or the widely reported critics of your appointment, that you'll be more apt to protect European farmers than be a fair-minded president of the WTO?
Well, I mean, I think that when you have a very hard competition, and when you are confronted, I mean, to such a big country like United States, you have very different opinions. I prefer the opinions of the last day, which is the opinion of the support of the American governments to my candidacy, which shows that at least, I mean, at the end, the good views has prevailed.
Well, first of all, I'm really very glad.
It was even my private intention not to go beyond 4 years terms. I mean, I think that this would be a good end of my professional life.
And one last one. Do you have any words of consolation or advice to Mr. Salinas, who seemed to fail at the last hurdle?
Well, I'm very sorry for him personally. I think that we had a very good and fair competitions among all the three official candidates, and I'm certainly very sorry that Mr. Salinas has to renounce to his candidacy for the reason that we all know.
Of course, actively with your colleagues. I really wouldn't think the nationality of the head of that organization will have that much in terms of its fundamental direction, or it was a process, as you know, that had to be arrived at consensus. So I assume all the major shareholders and members are comfortable with that and give him his full support.
We thought and we think that Mr. Ruggiero was and is an excellent candidate. What it was required is that there was a consensus around his name. Now the consensus does exist, so we think we have a candidate which will be an excellent executive of the new organization.
Economic policies are sound, and that the underlying fundamentals.
Señor Gobernador, mucho gusto saludar. Gracias.
닛산으로부터의 승용차 기술 도입 신고서와 사업 계획서를 지난 12월 5일 정부에 제출한 바 있습니다. 정부는 삼성의 기술 도입 계약 내용과 사업 계획을 면밀히 검토한 결과 기술 도입 신고를 오늘 수리하였습니다.
Oh, I think Mexico lost. That's regrettable and I hope temporary. The emerging markets in general have not lost. They still have very considerable momentum to enrich themselves and enrich the world community as a whole. But for the time being, of course, Mexico is in a kind of special and unhappy status in the world financial and economic community.
Hear about all these wonderful things.
I have blue eyes.
Oh, I think there's a lot of moral suasion in a job like this. At the end of the day, the sovereignty of individual nations is very hard to infringe on, except through creating the right kind of moral tone about what's acceptable in economic behavior and financial behavior in the world community.
Is there any chance to go change the integration schedule?